rice is a simple 1-2-step process. Basically, I personally like to take a regular mug and one of my giant mugs to measure the rice. For this regular mug, the way I measure it to be able to get the accuracy of the big mug is that I fill up the small mug twice to the brim of rice. There's 2 cups in total. Fill it up with the big one, grab another cup of rice in the small one, and then I pour it back in. Then I fill up the regular sized mug once again to have 2 cups of rice, and I put them into the bigger mug. This is the amount of rice that I will be using to cook. Now, if you don't have a regular rice cooker, you can also just cook rice the old-fashioned way in a pot. It's really easy, 1-2-step kind of deal. There's no real complication to it. I'll go ahead and teach you the best way to do it. So we pour the cup into the pot, make sure it's leveled out, and then we're going to pour water into the pot about above my pinky. Really, you can use this much of your pinky, doesn't matter how big your pinky is. So don't be afraid, because water can only help keep your rice moist, and that's the trick, to make sure to keep your rice moist and make sure that when you reheat it later it doesn't dry. There we go, so that's about this much spilled there a little bit. But now, right before putting it in the on the stove to heat it up, you want to season it a little bit. So if you just want to make really basic rice, you definitely want to add some salt on there for it to taste like something. So I add this generic garlic sea salt. I just put, I feel it. I just put how much I feel like putting it in, kind of like to cover the whole top of the pot. That much should be fine. It'll make sure that it won't taste bland, and it actually tastes, with a hint of sea salt. And to make sure that it doesn't stick, I always like to add some corn oil, just some cooking oil. I personally prefer corn oil to canola oil, just because from the research I've done, it's healthier. So I just kind of pour it by eye, but if I were to measure it, I'd say that was about a tablespoon or a tablespoon and a half. So next you want to put the rice on the stovetop. You want to cook it for about 10 to 15 minutes till the water boils on medium heat. Once the water boils and it starts bubbling up, you want to set it to low, and you want to really leave it there for 30 minutes. Because the trick to making a moist, fluffy rice is that you want to leave the moisture inside so that when it cooks, if you keep taking the top off and stirring it to make sure the rice doesn't stick, the moisture comes out and it can lead to your rice being really dry, and you don't want that. I don't want that, you don't want that, nobody wants that. So you definitely just trust me, leave it there, nothing bad's gonna happen to your rice. Just make sure it's on low for 30 minutes on the stove top and you'll be fine. The oil will already make sure that it won't stick, and just make sure to get a non-stick pan, because otherwise then the rice might or will stick no matter what you do. So now you just want to put the lid on it and put it on the stove top for 15 minutes. Rice is coming out nicely and should be almost done. You can see the steam coming out. Rice has been cooking there for almost 30 minutes. I'm gonna give it about 2 more minutes, then I'm gonna turn it off and see how it is. But as you can see, it's looking mighty fluffy. Looks like the rice is done. Let's check to see how it is. It's gonna be a little tricky for me to do with only one hand. See, now, this is what you want your rice to look like. Each grain of rice should have split in half to have this little slit. And once you, like, this is gonna be bad, but once you grab a piece of rice, if you squish it, and the center of it doesn't have a solid white dark line, and it's all completely squishy without like a single solid, you know, part to it. And if you want to try it, it's all good to go. So grab this little part, you squish it. See that there's no solid white line. Focus camera. There we go. It's all just the same color of white. Then your rice is cooked. Plus the fact that you left it there for 30 minutes is already enough of a guarantee. If you were opening the lid every now and then and stirring, then you'd want to question that, but that's why leaving it there for 30 minutes with the lid on is a pretty much guaranteed trick to make sure that your rice is cooked. You can use whatever container you'd like to put in your rice. Personally, I like to go with a little bit of an overkill, oversized container, but you know, you're just gonna do this and your rice should literally just come out like that. Boom, you know? See, the bottom isn't even burnt. It even got this really nice, healthy, little bit of golden touch. So you just, you know, break off your rice and then you're ready to go for the week. This is about, for me, a week's worth of rice. So I know some people really like the bottom of the rice to be crunchy. So if you like that, you can definitely do this method. It's not really super crunchy because I used a non-stick pan. But if you're going for the really crunchy kind of rice, this recipe is not for you. This is for fluffy, just moist rice that will last you all week, staying moist without it ever getting dry. So that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video.